Alright, so today we're going to be going over twosome. So this problem basically asks what given an array, what two numbers in the array add up to a certain target. So we could think of it, I mean, we could do it with a double for loop, but we know that the time and complexity for a double for loop is O(n) squared. So we had to think of it in a faster way to solve this problem. So one way we could do it, so we know 2 plus 7 is equal to 9. Or another way we could think about it is 9 minus 2 is equal to 7. So we know that 2 plus 7 is equal to 9. So what we could do is we could create a hash map. And we know that a hash map has the key and the value. So in this case, if we were to create a hash map, the keys would be the numbers in the array. So it would be 2, 7, 11, and 15. And we know that the value would be the indices, which would be, we know that it starts off at 0, so it would be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So if we could create this hash map, then what we could do then next is create a for loop. So once we have this created in the program, we could create a for loop. So let's create a for loop. So 0 Okay, so once we have this for loop set up right here, so the first thing that we're gonna need to instantiate is a int value. So I'm gonna call this int target 2. So what target 2 is gonna be the number that we're looking for inside the hash map. So in this case, we're gonna get target, so we know it's named target, and then we're gonna subtract nums I. So in this case, we're subtracting nums I, which would be we're gonna, like, we're since we're in a for loop, we're looping through it. So in this case, since we're starting off at 0, it would be 9 minus 2, which would be 7. So that means that in this case, target 2 is equal to 7. Okay, so once we have done this right here, we're gonna do an if statement. So inside this if statement, we're gonna do if, and let's just say we're gonna call this we're gonna call it map. So right now, so if we call it map, we're gonna do if map dot contains key. So if the map contains this number, which is target 2, that contains target 2, so we're gonna know that it's in here. But we're gonna also have to do another check. So what this check is gonna do, so let me just put like these, and sorry, it's bad. Okay, so these are supposed to be ands. So another thing that we're gonna have to check is if map get result does not equal to I. So you already know what this is right here. So it's basically checking, oh, does the map contain the number that we're looking for? Now here, this little check right here. So what we're doing is, okay, so let's say we have I'm gonna give an example. Let's say we have an array of 7, 11, and 15. Okay, and we're looking for the target number 14. So what this is gonna run out, if we didn't have this part of the code right here, it would give us a result of 0, 0 because of 7. So, but this does not work because we need two different numbers. So I mean, if there was a 7 right here, then we could do 0, 1. But since without this, it would do this right here. It would give out 0, 0, which does not work. So what this does is we're saying that it's not equal to that certain index. So right here, this one, it wouldn't work because it would be, let's say if this was a number 4, it would just be 7, so it wouldn't have another number to add to be 14. So this check takes care of this scenario right here. So once we have this set up right here, then we could just create a new array that we're gonna return. So let's call this result. Okay, so this result is gonna have I, and is gonna have map dot get. We called it target 2. Okay. And then we could just return result. Okay. And if that's not the case, then we could just return null. Okay. So again, so this check checks if it's inside the hash map, and this check makes sure that it doesn't count for its own self. So this scenario right here wouldn't work. So once we get that, then we're gonna get I, which would be the number that we're at. So it would be 0, 0, and then we're gonna get map.get target 2. So if we're getting target 2, which would be 7, it would be 1 right here. So 1, and then we're gonna return this array. So the result would be 0, 1, which is what we're looking for.
Alright, so now we're gonna do what we just did on paper, and we're gonna do it inside Eclipse. I like using Eclipse because I like showing the other cases where I could just like edit it and show you why it wouldn't work. So yeah, so let's get to it. So the first check that we need to do is, first thing we can do is if nums dot length is equal to 0, that means there's no numbers in there, then we could automatically just return null. Okay, so once we have that out of the way, the first step that we said we're going to do on paper, the first step that we said that when we were doing it on paper, is creating the for loop. So for a loop to create the hash map. So let me just instantiate it, map. And then we called it map. So okay, so right here we're instantiating the hash map. So and then right here we're gonna fill up the hash map with the values. I is less than .line plus. Okay, and then we're gonna do map dot puts, and then for the key it's gonna be nums I, the number, that certain index, and then we're gonna give it I. So let's do that. Okay, so this takes care of making the hash map for us right here. So the next step after we created the hash map is we're gonna do a for loop. Okay, so the first thing that we said we're gonna have to do is instantiate the variable. So we're gonna do int, we called it, I think, target 2. Target 2 is equal to, in this case, same thing, called it target. So it's gonna be target minus nums I. Okay, so this is basically getting the number that we're gonna be looking for in the hash map. So then now what we're gonna do is the if statement. If map dot contains key, which is target 2, and map dot get target 2, okay, does not equal to I. if that isn't true, then we create the new array. So is equal to, so it is gonna be I and map dot get result to, they could just return result. Oh, I called it target 2. Okay, and then if that's not the case, just return null. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this. So if I run it, so oh yeah, yeah. Target 2, yeah. So yeah, this is the case that I was talking to you about. So let me just change the values to the first, and then I'll talk, because I was okay. So 2, 7, and 15, and we were looking for 9. Okay. So yeah, so it brings out 0, 1. So it would be 0 right here and 1, since they both add up to 9. But what I had earlier, what I had just deleted, is if it was just 7 and we were looking for 14. So I went over it. Okay, let me just Control X. So this is without the code that I just deleted. So if we were to run this, we get 0, 0. Because it's counting its own self, so it would be 7 plus 7, which would be 14. But this is not supposed to be how it's not supposed to work. This isn't the right way to do it. So what we're doing is we're adding this statement right here. So it's basically saying if it's not its own self. So if we were to do this, it would be null. Yeah, because that wouldn't work. But if we were to do like 18, then 0, 1. So it would work. And yeah, that should be